These might look like sunglasses, but they're not. See, inside of the frames of these sunglasses, they are packed full to the brim with technology that delivers an experience that you would expect from a sci-fi movie or a sci-fi television show. And at first, when I got these, I was a little bit skeptical. I had seen them online, I've read about them on news outlets, but when I finally got my hands on them and finally tried them out, I was blown away. And don't get me wrong, they're not perfect. There are some things, there are some drawbacks that are there. But despite those drawbacks, I'm kind of happy with the experience, and I can see myself actually using this in the future to play handheld games or watch movies or just enjoy media entertainment overall. For the sake of transparency, I want to let you guys know that there was money exchanged for this review. VITURE is sponsoring this video, but they have had no say or any input in terms of my own opinions or whatever is said in this video. It's part of our contract. And before somebody goes into the comments and says, oh my God, it's a biased review because he's being paid by this company, I want to let you guys know that I could have just not said anything and could have just kept it quiet. But I want to be transparent with you guys and honest with you guys whenever any sort of money is exchanged. So let's go ahead and get into the review. Now, before we start getting deep into what these glasses are and what they can do, we kind of have to talk about what XR is. Now, everyone really knows VR and AR. VR is virtual reality where you have a headset on your head and you can see a virtual world that you can interact with. AR is augmented reality where you can use an app kind of like Pokemon Go where you can see a Pokemon through the app in the real world and you can catch that virtually. That's kind of what AR is. XR is extended reality where you have something that is extended on, your plane that you're seeing, kind of like the screen that pops up while using the VITURE glasses. Now, I do want to go ahead and say that there is kind of like an AR segment to it because you can adjust the opacity on there. And I'll talk a little bit later on about how you do that. That puts a screen in your real world in front of you. Obviously, you can't really interact too much aside from, using a controller or some of the inputs on whatever device it is that you're using, but it is something that bears mentioning. Also, one of the main concerns that I had with trying these out is I wear normal glasses. My eyesight's not exactly the best, so I was worried that I wouldn't be able to see what's going on in the glasses and I would need the prescription lenses in order to actually get this running. But lo and behold, there's actually a couple of diopter dials that are on the top of the lens that adjust the image so that if you have bad eyesight like me, then you'll be able to see what's actually in front of you. Something that bears mentioning is that I do also have an astigmatism. So when I was gaming on these XR glasses, I did see some blurriness on the corners of the entire screen that's there. Again, I don't know if this is because I have an astigmatism or poor eyesight, or if that's just the way that the glasses are presented overall, but based on my experience, it didn't bother me too much. Most of the time I was looking at what's directly in the center of the screen and sometimes looking at the HUD or the display that's there, depending on the game that I was playing. But aside from that, it really just didn't bother me, but it is something that is worth mentioning if you're considering getting these for yourself. Now, when we're just talking about the XR glasses, there are a lot of things that bear mentioning. First and foremost, this is a 120 hertz display, so you are going to be getting as many frames as you can get out of some of the PC handhelds that have been released as of late. But one thing that bears mentioning is that when you first put this on, this is going to be at 100% brightness, so you might want to adjust that. And in order to do that, you look at the left temple that's right here on the glasses, and all you have to do is just push these buttons up and down, and it'll go ahead and adjust accordingly. There's also a little button that's right here that adjusts the opacity. So when you first put these on, it's going to be completely and totally dark. So you're going to have kind of like a screen right in front of you and that's it. And if you want to have more of like an AR experience where it just slaps the screen in whatever it is that you're looking at in reality, then you just push that and it'll go ahead and get rid of that darkness and it'll just have the screen right then and there in front of you. It's a pretty cool experience, I gotta admit, but sometimes if you're outside and it's too bright, you can use some of these lens shades that are here. They're pretty cheap. I think they're $10, $9 on their website. And what it does is it pretty much covers it entirely. So you never really have to worry too much about it. But it is a nice to have in the grand scheme of things. Aside from that, the speakers that are on both temples of the glasses, they feel nice. Now, they're not bassy. This is something that kind of took me back a little bit, and I kind of understand because they're downward firing and they're kind of like firing into your ear. But something that it does bear mentioning is that while using the volume at max, I didn't really have any issues. I didn't have anyone say, wow, that's extremely loud. They could barely hear it as far as, the people being around me. And I also want to go ahead and say that you are going to have less bass, more treble, but they feel kind of just fine. They're okay for what they're doing. And to have this technology just built in, it's pretty nice. Now, this does come with a USB-C to magnetic cable that is connecting things, and it connects pretty easily. All you got to do is just put it on and boom, it just connects, and it has a pretty strong connection. I do have this little rubber sleeve that comes in. It just kind of feels more secure and, kind of lets me know which side things are on and, make sure that things fit just fine. Now, this can connect with any device that has a USB-C display out. So whether it's your cell phone or any of the other devices that I mentioned previously, it'll just work. You don't really have to worry about anything, and it just connects. Now, I do want to go ahead and mention that some of the Windows-based devices that I have been using with these AR glasses, or XR glasses, excuse me, kind of gave me a few issues. For example, when I was playing on the ROG Ally X, there was no way to actually adjust or input things like I could with the mouse. If you're using the ROG Ally X, you can obviously use the touchscreen to move things around and touch things and kind of use it as like a mouse, or you can use the analog stick. When it was connected, it didn't even respond using the analog stick. I had to actually manually change it from auto gamepad to desktop mode and just put it straight into desktop mode in order for things to work. This is a little bit of a workaround, and it is a little bit of a nuance, but aside from that, it's not really that big of a deal. If you're okay dealing with that, then hey, more power to you. You can just go ahead and use these without an issue. And to me, it's not really that big of a deal. Let's say you have your XR glasses, but you want to connect an HDMI. This is where the VITURE Pro mobile dock comes into play. Now, there are a lot of things that are happening in this accessory. First and foremost, it's a 13,000 milliamp hour battery. So that means technically you can connect this to your Nintendo Switch or your Steam Deck or any other device and charge it while you're playing on your XR glasses. But something that does bear mentioning is that the power output that I was getting through my testing was around 20 watts. What does that mean? Well, technically, you can connect this to the Nintendo Switch and it'll work just fine. It'll charge the Nintendo Switch while you're playing on your XR glasses, and everything just works just fine. But if you have a beefier handheld, like a Steam Deck, ROG Ally or Ally X, or the Legion Go, or even the MSI Claw, you're not going to be able to charge your device while you're playing on your XR glasses. And this is really where things kind of come into play when you're talking about using this with PC handhelds, because PC handhelds just need more wattage. With 13,000 milliamp hour battery and the wattage output, this is something that I can't really recommend for somebody that does have a PC handheld. And if you do have a PC handheld, but you're considering getting this is where I would recommend getting a USB dongle and just connecting a USB-C charger as well as the XR glasses via USB-C. That way you can play the game, get the same experience, and still charge your device and keep it going. With this, I can see what they were trying to do. And to be honest with you, I think genuinely that this was initially designed for only the Nintendo Switch. After the Steam Deck gained a little bit of steam, no pun intended, as well as Legion Go and the ROG Ally, then this kind of was like, okay, well, I can technically connect this to this as well and still get an experience that I would get with the Nintendo Switch, just with a PC handheld. So I see what they were trying to do, but it needs a little bit more power or a little bit more wattage in order to actually get things running. So I wish that there was a larger version of this, or something that provided a little bit more juice for PC handhelds. Now, this does have an HDMI in, so technically you can connect any sort of HDMI device and it'll work. That includes the Chromecast or Android TV, Fire Sticks, any of that other stuff. You can just connect and boom, you don't really have to worry about things. I do want to go in and say that there are two ports for XR glasses, which is pretty cool. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think that this is the only mobile dock that has two USB-C outs for XR glasses, which is I think it's kind of cool. I think that's actually pretty awesome. Aside from that, I didn't run into too many problems while using this. I wish that there was a little bit more power draw, because when you're using a PC handheld, you're not going to be able to charge the device properly. It's just going to slow down the power draw or the battery drain that you're going to have on the PC handheld. Whereas on the Nintendo Switch, yeah, it charges and it works, but it's not going to really need that much power in comparison to PC handheld. So something to bear in mind if you're considering getting this for yourself. Something that I do want to go ahead and mention, alongside with this dock, they do sell all of these mounts that are here for multiple devices. That includes the Nintendo Switch as well as the Steam Deck, but they only sent me the one for the Nintendo Switch. When I reached out and asked why I didn't get the one for the Steam Deck, especially since most of my channel is built around the Steam Deck and PC handhelds, they told me that they were actually redesigning the Steam Deck. And my assumption is, based off of looking at the pictures on the website, was that there really isn't enough space here for the Steam Deck and its cooling system. Now, obviously, with the Nintendo Switch, it's a little bit smaller in order for the air vents to go ahead and come in. And actually installing this for the mount is actually pretty easy. All you have to do is kind of just, put this in over here and then just boom, snap it right on, and it's pretty stable. You don't really have to worry about much. From there, you can go ahead and take this part and just boom, stick it in. There you have your USB-C to USB-C. And once you connect that, you can actually start charging by pushing this and turning it on. And then from there, you have your Nintendo Switch connected. Now, I do recommend not actually using these with the Joy-Cons attached and actually using them separately, just because it's much easier to use. But once you have this connected here, all you have to do then is actually connect a USB-C to one of these ports for your XR glasses. And once you have that connected there, you'll be able to actually get a video out. It'll take a little bit of time, but once it actually goes ahead and starts showing, you'll be able to go ahead and see it. It's pretty blurry, but as you can see, it's right over here. You can see the Nintendo Switch icons that are right there. So once everything is said and done, it is pretty cool. I do like the fact that this is there. I don't recommend what was I playing? Oh, I think I was playing Super Mario RPG, but I don't recommend you actually playing with this in your hand by any means, like I would the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally. I would rather just have these set aside and using this as kind of like a tabletop mode almost. And you can hear the music. Actually, it's pretty loud. I left it pretty loud. I don't know if the mic will catch it, but it is pretty nice to go ahead and have. Now, when you're done with this, obviously you can go ahead and disconnect it, and from there the video out will stop. While you have this here though, you can go ahead and just put this to sleep and leave it charging. It will go ahead and continue to charge your Nintendo Switch, and I'm assuming the Steam Deck, once a new mount goes ahead and comes out, despite the wattage being less than what the Steam Deck needs in order to operate. So, do you need a mobile dock in order to have a, on-the-go XR gaming experience? Yes and no. It really depends on what you're going to be gaming on. If you're going to be gaming specifically on the Nintendo Switch, then you do need that dock. If you plug in the XR glasses directly into the Nintendo Switch, you are not going to get a video feed into those glasses. It's just gonna, plug in, and that's pretty much it. But if you use that mobile dock, then yes, you will get a video feed into those glasses. I also want to go ahead and mention that if you connected those XR glasses directly into a PC handheld, whether it's the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, or any of the other PC handhelds that are out there, then they will work just fine. You don't have to worry about any sort of dock or anything like that. It'll just plug in. The only reason I would even recommend the dock is if you want to go ahead and kind of delay the battery, dying on you, because it isn't going to be, 100% amazing with that 20-watt output with that battery, but it is something to take into consideration if you want something like that. Also, it's worth mentioning that the only mount that they sent me was the Nintendo Switch one, because the one for the Steam Deck doesn't really work properly, and I don't even know if they're going to do any mounts for any of the other PC handhelds that are out there. So if you have two USB-C ports, definitely go with an external battery, and then you can go ahead and use the XR glasses just fine. I also want to mention that I was able to connect this to my Pixel 8 Pro. Everything worked just fine, though the resolution that came out of the Pixel 8 Pro wasn't as nice as the resolutions that I got with the Nintendo Switch or any of the other handhelds that are out there, but it definitely is worth mentioning. Now, if you want a full mobile experience while, using your XR glasses, you might want to consider the neckband that VITURE sells. Now, it's pretty easy to go ahead and use. All you got to do is just slap these bad boys on, get the connector that is right over here and connect it to the glasses. It'll take a few seconds for it to actually boot up and get things going. I don't know if the mic will catch it, but the fan is really, really loud. I don't really like to use it in quiet mode just because I like to make sure that things are properly cooled. But once you go in, there is a home screen that's here. Now, there are a couple of things that are on the left side of the neckband that's here. There's, for example, a microphone button for putting in microphone commands. Then there is a 3D button, which kind of takes you to the actual on or local storage. So whatever is stored onto the device itself is here. There were a couple of things that were sent with this device, but from there you have your media catalog, local network, and USB disk. And then there is also the home button as well as the back button. There is a D-pad that's here on the device itself, which I actually kind of like because I like being able to control things and just have these tactile buttons and not have to worry about, using motion tracking or whatever it may be. And if you connect a Bluetooth controller, kind of like this controller that they send, this is the VITURE and 8BitDo collaboration. This is the Ultimate C controller that is very similar to some of the other controllers that are sold, including the Ultimate C that's sold by 8BitDo. This feels awesome. The only thing that I don't really like about it is the fact that the D-pad doesn't really have that much of a pivot, and the triggers are more buttons than anything else. You can tell that this was more designed to be used with a Nintendo Switch more than anything else. Now, because this is running Android 11, there are going to be a lot of things that are here that are just, well, they just work. You have access to the Google Play Store, so if you want to download different apps, you can do so. VITURE has its own shop that you can access to, and I'll go a little bit more about what this experience is once I plug it into a monitor so you can see for yourself. But overall, it's a pretty cool experience. One other thing that I forgot to mention earlier is that when you have these XR glasses connected to a device, whether it's the neckband or Nintendo Switch or whatever it is that you're connecting it to, they tend to get a little warm, especially right here on the right temple. If you're, too sensitive to that stuff, then I totally understand. But for me, it didn't bother me. I noticed that it was there, especially when I took them off. But for the most part, I didn't even notice until I actually took them off and had them on my hand. Hey guys, Future Rudy here. So I couldn't actually get a video out from the neckband. I tried connecting all sorts of cables and trying to do all sorts of combinations using capture cards and so on and so forth. Nothing worked. So I reached out to VITURE to see what the heck I could do to actually show you guys what it is that I see through the glasses themselves when they're connected to the neckband. And it turns out that I needed to get a special adapter. So they sent me this little magnetic adapter to USB-C, and it can connect to any sort of display or monitor or anything that has a USB-C in. And once you do that, all you have to do is just connect it to the neckband and hook it up to the actual monitor, and it's plug and play. You don't really have to worry about anything after that. But the main reason I wanted to go ahead and get this was so that I could show you how everything works with everything just running on a neckband. It's actually pretty awesome. All right, so when you have this connector, this magnetic adapter to USB-C, all you have to do is connect it, and then from there, just connect it to a monitor or display like this Arzopa display. Now, this is a portable monitor. I actually have a whole video about it. I'll link to it up here. But when it comes down to it, this display is very intuitive, and it's very similar to a Android TV or Chrome TV experience that you would get. Now, if you want to navigate using the D-pad that is built into the neckband, you can do that, but you can also connect a Bluetooth controller because once again, this is Android 11. So all you got to do is just move around and everything works just fine. You can go ahead and access the settings menu from here, and it's pretty straightforward in terms of everything that's here. Now, there is a quiet mode here. I personally don't use it. Like I said, there's only two options. There's either it's quiet and it's hot, or you can hear the fan. I can hear it right now. I don't know if the mic's gonna pick it up, but you can hear the fan that's coming from here and it stays cool. That's it. There's no real in between on things. I kind of wish that there was like a fan curve of some kind this year, but again, it's Android, so I understand that there's limitations in terms of what you can go ahead and do, but I do know that there are ways of controlling that, just not in an Android TV experience, but I digress. When it comes down to it, there is different settings that are here. When it comes down to the head gaze navigation, this is basically kind of like creating a faux VR experience where you are controlling the cursor on the display using your head. This is very similar to kind of like LG TVs where you can control it using the Magic controller. So it's kind of cool. I personally don't like using it. You can change the different directions that are here for the D-pad that is built into the actual neckband, which is nice. You can free up memory if you want to. And if you go into device preferences, there are a slew of different things that are here. Now there is 128 gigabytes of storage. It is showing 117, but 128 gigabytes is a good amount. It's not a ton, but it's enough for you to actually store things there if you want to. USB host as well as pin mode is there if you want to go ahead and use that. Now, if you're familiar with Android, you know that there are developer options, and there are a ton of different things that you can do here in terms of developer options. So if you want to go in there, you can go ahead and change things to just get the right performance and experience that you want on here. Now, I haven't installed any apps per se. All of the things that are here were already pre-installed, but it's pretty much everything that I would want. PS Play, Xbox X Play, as well as Moonlight and YouTube. There is Netflix, and I don't know why, but there's two forms of Prime Video, or two apps of Prime Video. So that's there. I don't know what TV Bro is. And in terms of like screencasting, the 3D player and settings, all of that is there. But the cool thing that I do like about this is that there's a Google Play Store. So if you're familiar with Android TV or a Chromecast or whatever it may be, you can download specific apps that are designed to work on a television. That same experience is what you're going to have here. So if you're used to that, that's more or less what you'll see. And then there's also the VITURE Play Store. This is kind of just the same stuff. These are Android apps or APKs that are going to run on this software. You can download them either from the Google Play Store, but these are pretty much the ones that VITURE picked out, I guess, that'll go ahead and provide a good enough experience on things. And to be honest with you, I'd be more than happy with the apps that are here. Now, I do want to go ahead and say that the buttons that are here are going to be important. Now, this button brings up this menu that's over here, but there is a button near the top where you push and it'll turn it off or put it to sleep. Turning it back on or putting it back on is fine. And then that rocker that's there increases the volume that you're going to get from the actual speakers. Now, if you push that 3D button that I mentioned earlier, it'll pull up the local storage that's here. So you have local video as well as media catalog. And this is basically a standard Android hierarchy for the file system that's here. And then you have your local network. So you can stream things to the neckband if you want to, as well as have things stored on a USB-C stick that you would install or put into the actual neckband to watch yourself. And I like this because this is pretty cool. You can actually see, now you're not going to see it through the screen or through your phone or whatever it is that you're watching, but this is kind of how it would be displayed on your two different monitors or displays that you would have with XR glasses. So what this would create is kind of like a faux 3D effect, which is pretty cool. Now, obviously you can't really see because it's cut in half, but it is very nice that they have that option there. Now there's other things that are here if you want to go in and see, but it is pretty awesome that they have that installed onto the app itself. When it comes down to actually playing games on here, everything runs with a huge asterisk, and that asterisk is your internet connection. So if you have a good internet connection or Wi-Fi, you will be able to stream games without any issues at all, just as you would with PS Play or Xbox or XBX Play. So it really just depends. Same thing with Moonlight. If you have a good enough connection, you will be fine. You don't have to worry about anything. Now, when you're watching YouTube on the app, it's pretty straightforward. All you have to do is just start watching whatever piece of content it is that you want to go ahead and watch, and it works as it should. It's pretty nice. It's pretty convenient. And if you're used to actually using something like this on an Android TV or Google TV, like I said earlier, then you're used to it. It'll just work as it should. And you kind of don't have to worry about anything when it comes down to it. So it's pretty nice to just have that readily available on a neckband that you can go ahead and use to watch and consume your content while you're traveling or during your commute or whatever it may be. So I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely impressed with how easy it was to use this magnetic connector to USB-C adapter. It was just really easy to just plug and play. Now, in terms of like use case scenarios, it's pretty difficult to find stuff like this because at the end of the day, if I'm watching something on Netflix or YouTube or whatever, I can just continue by logging in on the app on my phone or on my Roku or Chromecast or whatever it is that I'm using to watch my content. But I do have to say that I appreciate the fact that VITURE even offers something like this, because I was definitely struggling trying to figure out a way to connect that headband to the monitor so I could show you guys how that interface is, because honestly, having that on the XR glasses is really, really awesome. Something that I should point out is that if you have an Android phone or an iPhone, which most of you guys do anyways, but if you do and you want to connect your XR glasses directly onto your phone and play on some of those apps, whether it's PS Play, Xbox Play, or Moonlight, like if you want to use those and play the games that you would normally play on the Neckband, then you can do so. But it is worth mentioning that the resolution is going to be much smaller than it would if you were connecting directly either onto the Neckband or whatever handheld or console it is that you're using to get that image on screen. It's a different experience overall. I just realized I haven't even talked to you guys about pricing or any of the different packages that are there. Now, when we look at the packages, the closest thing in terms of what they sent me is the VITURE Pro collection, because I got a bunch of like other additional accessories and things that are available. But the VITURE Pro collections includes the XR glasses as well as a mobile dock, and it also includes a VITURE X 8-bit Do Ultimate C Bluetooth controller. It's honestly not that bad of a deal, especially when you use the link in the description below or the pinned comment, because you're going to get an extra 10% off of anything that's in the store, including that package that's there. So you'll be able to save a little bit of money when it comes down to it. Individually, though, it's a little bit different because the glasses, they're $459 by themselves. The neckband is $179. The mobile dock is $129, and the controller's $39. Now, the mount for the mobile dock for the Nintendo Switch is $19, and it's also $19 for the Steam Deck version. But I really don't recommend the Steam Deck version, especially with the constraints on the airflow that's needed for that Steam Deck to stay cool. I know that they're redesigning it, so if you're interested in that, I would wait until that redesign is released. But right now, I would just skip the mount entirely when it comes down to that. And the lens shade that they sent me is $9, so it's not that big of a deal. Now, again, all that stuff that's there, it's really dependent on what it is that you want. But if you follow the links in the description or the pinned comment, you are going to get 10% off whatever the heck it is that you order for yourself. This is personally, in my opinion, a bit of a luxury item, but the fact that it's versatile and that you can use it with literally any piece of tech that has a display out via USB-C kind of makes it, you know, a really cool experience. And I didn't really think I would enjoy it as much as I have. That being said, if the price is too much for something, like I said, it's a luxury item, then it's something, you know, to be hesitant on. In terms of like, you know, doing your research and things like that, there are other people that have talked about having the lens, or excuse me, the corners being blurry in terms of like the view that's there. I thought it was just me because I have an astigmatism, but again, it really just depends on what you want and the experience that you get out of it. So who is the VITURE XR glasses for? And is this something that I could even recommend? Now, when it comes to who I would recommend it for, I want to talk about a couple of scenarios that you could really use this for. Now, I travel a lot, so having a private viewing experience without having to worry about anything is awesome. If I were to take the red eye wherever or an overnight international flight, it would make sense for me to have something like that so that I wouldn't disrupt anyone while they're sleeping. I could just keep on gaming and I'd be fine. I also want to go ahead and mention that if you were on the couch or in bed, you won't interrupt or bother your significant other or your family with whatever it is that you're viewing. Let's say the kids want to go ahead and watch Bluey on TV, but you want to go ahead and watch the football game. You can do so and you won't bother anyone. Now, obviously you can watch it on your cell phone and you'll be fine, but that experience of having that screen just right in front of you is honestly awesome. And there really isn't anything that I've seen aside from, you know, VR, for instance, that has that huge experience in front of you. Now, I do want to go ahead and say that not only is that a way of using it, but when you connect it to a handheld device, that's really truly where the magic shines, at least for me, because I can be in bed or be on the couch or be wherever on my commute or flying, and I could use these glasses and I could game in whatever position I want, and it's awesome. I won't get any creaks in my neck or, you know, get stiff shoulders from, you know, hunching down and doing, you know, whatever the shrimp thing is in there. But at the end of the day, it just feels much more comfortable and I can be in a better position to game on these handhelds. It's awesome. And it's definitely something that I recommend for someone that does travel a lot and wants a better viewing experience. This is much better than carrying around a portable monitor or having any sort of external issues or an external PC, because this is something that that you can connect to literally anything that has an HDMI out or a USB display out. As great as some of these accessories are, there are some things that I question, especially with that mobile dock. Now, the mobile dock, if you're a Switch gamer and you just want to have that experience on you or with you on the go, then yeah, you can totally use that mobile dock and you'd be fine because of the power output and overall battery size that is in that dock. But if you are a PC gamer, Steam Deck, Legion Go, ROG Ally, whatever, you're not going to be able to get too much of a benefit in terms of power supply for that handheld that you have with you on the go. 20 watts just isn't enough to keep a PC handheld going without, really truly depleting the battery. You're just going to slow down the process, but you're not going to keep your battery charged. Aside from that, if you're okay with that, then by all means, go ahead and get the mobile dock. But even still, you can connect the XR glasses straight into your PC handheld and you'd be fine. You wouldn't even notice a difference. It works exactly as it should. For the neckband, this is really something that is up to you and is a case-by-case basis because the neckband does allow for a full-on Android TV experience without, the official Android logoing and marking and everything like that. But because it's Android 11, you do have a slew of features and apps that you can go ahead and use. And if you want to go ahead and play your PC or your Xbox or your PlayStation 5 titles, wherever you are in the world, then you can do so as long as you have everything paired up correctly. It is pretty nice to have. I'm not gonna lie. It's nice to be able to have that feature and that availability when it comes to those apps, especially if you want to go ahead and view movies or films or wherever it may be, as long as you have Wi-Fi available so you can connect to it. But, it's definitely awesome. So what do you guys think of the VITURE XR glasses? Is this something that you're going to be picking up for yourself or a loved one? Or are you just like, this doesn't make any sense? I don't see really the big hype or deal about this stuff. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on things. And if you want to hear my thoughts on the ROG Ally X, then click this video over here. And if you want to hear my thoughts on some of the Steam Deck accessories that I recommend, then click this video over here. And until next time, guys, I will see you on the next one. Peace.